was relevant again. They added the whole series to Netflix.
That they did, which is why I was watching it the other day.
And all of the Clinton jokes can be recycled from the Animaniacs.
True.
Like, they can bring it on back.
Everything old is new again.
Everything old is new again.
Circle, and, yeah.
I very, very rarely, but I get into these jags where I just start watching a bunch of, like, old 1940s and 50s Looney Tunes on YouTube.
Okay, nice.
Because there's not an easy way to see that stuff anymore.
That is true.
So you have to sort of go seek it out. And I love how there's, like, a constant stream of, Frank Sinatra jokes and Frankie Valli jokes. And the people that they choose to parody are pretty simple. You never saw, like, FDR showing up in Looney Tunes. Like, nobody was like, how about that Ike Eisenhower? Like, it didn't happen. But I feel like Bill Clinton appeared every 10 seconds on the Animaniacs.
Yeah,
for
and he was in the title sequence every week.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's two very, 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 very important things you need to understand about Bill Clinton. Which, if you were not of an age at the time, may not have registered with you. Okay. Him going on Arsenio Hall and playing the saxophone was unprecedented. It was shocking. It was, this guy is cool. Like, I mean, let's be honest, he can't approach Obama levels of cool. But at the time, it was amazingly cool. And then that, paired with him answering the boxer or briefs question
right.
during a town hall,
right,
cemented him as, like, the icon of cool.
Mr. Cool Guy.
Yeah, he was Mr. Cool Guy.
He was on
Kids loved
MTV.
him.
He made some, like, oblique references to maybe getting high as a kid. Like,
Yup.
He didn't deny it.
Yeah.
So,
this is weird. We got a really kick-ass Bill Clinton game on Super Nintendo that was unreleased, but you can play it in full.
Oh, was it the Socks the Cat game?
Wait, what?
There is
Shut up!
a Socks the Cat. Socks the presidential cat.
Yep.
Got his own Super Nintendo.
Yep.
I want this. Oh my god, I want it so bad.
I remember seeing
you can get
for
repo
it,
cards. Yeah, you can buy a cartridge of it. It's out there. You can play the Socks the Cat game.
I love it.
I don't think we ever got a good Animaniacs game though.
We got an okay Animaniacs game. There were Tiny Toon games which were actually excellent.
Which were awesome.
Some better than others, but consistently good. And then we got an Animaniacs game that was okay, and that was about it.
I want a good idea, bad idea video game.
Yes.
Oh my
with the
god.
little skeleton guy. He was my favorite.
Man, have
Why is
Jackbox
there a
make that
skeleton
game.
guy?
I would play that.
I would play that.
I'd absolutely play that. That would be awesome. So the machine that I want to play that on,
Yes.
is something that is probably never going to see it. It is the Nintendo NX, which Nintendo has acknowledged a few times. Like, they're like, yeah, there's a thing that we're making called the Nintendo NX. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I remember previewing Splatoon, and I was at Nintendo headquarters, and Reggie Fils-Aimé in all his, like, body is ready glory, like, he's a very imposing man. And he comes down, and he's nothing but smiles, but he has a presence.
He's enormous.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And in a he has a solidity of presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah. No, he's
really lovely person.
So he comes down, and he's like, okay, and like the day that we were doing the Splatoon thing, Nintendo Japan literally just announced their mobile alliance with DNA and the presence of the NX. So Reggie Fils-Aimé just comes down and is like, look, you may have heard some things on the news. I just want to let you know that, yes, those things are real, but we are not talking about them today. We are talking about Splatoon. Splatoon only. Splatoon fun times right now.
Was it immediately like an old style, like 1960s press conference? You hear flash bulbs going off.
Everyone's raising their hands.
Mr.
Fils-Aimé, and then he just said, thank you, no more questions, goodbye, and then he
No more.
basically, without the flash bulbs, but yeah.
You weren't wearing a ratty fedora whose brim is bent out of shape with a thing that says press on the side?
Yeah, I had my press cap with the thing on the side of it, and I had my giant camera with the light bulbs that shoot out of it. It was great. It was great.
Make that really satisfying crunchy noise when they pop.
Yeah, it's a good noise.
It's the best.
Man, why don't they do that anymore? I mean, I realize it's... Anyway.
Yeah.
We're not talking about old cameras.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, man. We don't know what kind of accessories the NX is going to have.
It's going to have a flashbulb on
Every
it.
Nintendo machine always has a camera built into it. Maybe they'll have 1960s style disposable flashbulbs. Probably not, though. So, this past week, a Eurogamer report that was later corroborated by sources at a number of different outlets came out and said that what the Nintendo NX is essentially a reverse Wii U.
Okay, I don't get that. Explain that to me.
You don't?
No. What does that mean?
The reverse Wii U thing? What that means is that, so the Wii U is a base console that you plug into a television, and that it has a controller with a screen that will stream the content from that base console to the controller. It's streaming technology going back from it.
Okay.
Now, what is going to happen here is that the NX is, in many ways, just like the Wii U gamepad. It is something with buttons and controls on either side of a fairly substantially sized screen. This is what we hear no longer a capacitive touchscreen, like in the Wii U and 3DS where you can only touch one spot. This is a multi-touch touchscreen, the kind that's pretty much been in devices for over a decade now. And the machine itself, all of the hardware, what is doing everything, is in what you're holding in your hand.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And that can connect to a television. You can... It's what they have said is that there is going to be a base station that connects it to the television. And what is unclear is if it's looking like this isn't something you need to plug into the base station. The base station is probably going to be more like akin to a Amazon Fire Stick or a Roku, if you will. Mm-hmm. And this is where the reverse Wii U thing comes in. You stream from what you're holding to that. Now, it doesn't sort of stop there. It continues to get weirder. Because imagine if you could take your Wii U gamepad and snap the right and left sides of it off from the screen in the middle.
I have pondered doing that many times with my Wii U gamepad.
Were you playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze while you were doing it? Well, you're like, what is with these goddamn checkpoints? They're bullshit. They really are bullshit. The Tropical Freeze checkpoints are bullshit. Anyway, so you snap off the right and left sides of the controllers and a controller, and this becomes two separate controllers for two different people who are playing the game, or somebody who is now playing what they were playing on their NX and are watching it on television. Think of it, like the Wii U or Wii remote with a nunchuck. And that's what this console's shape is going to be. It is going to use cartridges, sort of like the Nintendo 3DS, and it is sounding from the reports that the cartridges right now are around 39 gigabytes. So substantially sized games that could be significantly larger than most Wii U games. And powering this whole thing is NVIDIA's Tegra X1 chip. And if you've never heard of that, it is what is sitting inside of the NVIDIA Shield console, which is that little box that you can just sort of plug into a TV and download games like Doom 3 BFG. It is... The power of the X1 is something that has been widely discussed. Now, on an Android-based platform like the Shield, it's not the beefiest thing in the world. We're talking around an Xbox 360 in terms of graphical output.
You know you're turning into that guy right now, right?
I'm turning into that guy? Yeah, I've gone too far. Yeah. I've gone too far. The short version is games might either look only slightly better than Wii U games, or possibly, depending on what's in there, slightly worse than Wii U games. There is the suggestion by some of these reports that Zelda Breath of the Wild will look better on a Wii U than on the NX. So these are the details we have. What do you guys make of this? Is this what you want from a new Nintendo machine? Is this where you saw them going? Susan, what do you make of the NX?
Well, to me, what it sounds like is, okay, let's sit back and let's take stock of how people actually use our products and what people really enjoy about our products and what works. The one area where Nintendo has consistently dominated is portable. Ever since they came out with the original Game Boy, all the way up to through the 3DS, that thing prints money. So obviously there is a large sustainable market for playing games either while you're commuting or for kids or whoever is involved in it. Like I apparently am in the minority that I will sit on my couch and happily play a 3DS game. But
that's where I play 3DS games the most.
That's actually like I was reading something like a few recent studies that said that like most people actually now play like mobile games on the couch. They don't play them on the couch.
Right. So I mean, if you consider the market at large, everybody in the world plays mobile games. Everybody, either on their tablet or on their phone or both. So the idea of doing something substantial, something graphically substantial, something that can play bigger, however you define bigger, whether that's larger in scope or prettier or what have you, games on your couch makes sense. That makes sense to me. So, and then having the option to play it on your TV, I mean, that's something that they've done with their handhelds. I mean, remember the Super Nintendo...
the Super Game Boy, the Game Boy player for the GameCube. Yep. You can get Virtual Console Nintendo DS games, but only on Wii U. Like, even if you have a 3DS, you can't download a DS game.
Right. So it is very much in keeping with their history and with the industry at large, and is I think a good step for them because. For them to have parity with PS4 and Xbox One,
it's insane.
There's no point. And there's no point.
What? Why?
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants it. Nobody needs it. So, okay, if you're not going to do that, then what do you do? Well, then let's change the equation. Let's, in this, we'll change the parameters of the exercise in true Kobayashi Maru form.
Sure.
Let's just cheat, right? So, I dig it. I think it's as long as they don't make the mistake of trying to make it gimmicky. Like, now it's the one where if you're wearing blue, you play a little faster, whatever, because Nintendo likes doing those kinds of things. And when they hit, it's really cool.
They do.
But, and the touchscreen was the last one that really connected in a
well, motion controls. Motion controls for them.
Sucked.
Right?
Sucked.
Well,
sucked.
You can't... Wii Sports was a thing. It was a thing.
Yes, that's very true, but it wasn't sustainable. That's what I'm saying. Like the touchscreen was the last innovation that they made that was truly sustainable.
I agree with that.
So, I'm into it. I dig it. I think it's a very interesting move. I think it's a potentially very interesting move. And it could definitely appeal to a wide variety of customers.
The thing,
Susan, I want to go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the thing that really excites me about it is that it's like by condensing Nintendo's platforms into one device, Nintendo is no longer split across two devices, because Nintendo's always had kind of sketchy third-party support. It's always been really hit or miss. Sometimes, like they'll come out of the gate with a bunch of games and then realize, like, whoa, these don't really sell here. No one's buying Black Ops on a Wii U. And then they stop making games. So then Nintendo has to kind of pick up the slack, and you've seen them really strain to keep pace by trying to support the Wii U in addition to the 3DS. And it's really hurt them. Both the 3DS and Wii U are kind of barren this year. Outside of like 3DS has like Rhythm Heaven came out. There's that Metroid game that no one wants. Last year was that Zelda the Triforce game, and and Wii U has a handful of games being published by Nintendo. But you take the two systems out, you put it on one, and suddenly two systems that don't look so healthy suddenly look a lot more healthy because you have all of Nintendo's internal studios working on one platform that can serve two different types of audiences, one that wants the game at home and one that wants the game on the go. I think that's really cool.
And to that point, Dave, I actually got in a fight a couple of days ago.
Is there murder?
Because was there murder? Susan, this is a real thing that Werner Herzog said about Pokemon Go. When two trainers meet each other, do they battle? Is there murder? It's like, whoa, Werner.
Calm it down,
oh my God, man. Werner, nobody wants your Zubat, man. Nobody.
But I was just going to make a deep cut joke, so never mind, continue.
I got in a fight with Tech Insider's Ben Gilbert, who I don't think Ben and I have real conversations anymore. I think we just yell at each other.
That's entirely true.
Try to tell you, it's just accurate. Yeah. And he was giving me what I think is a very common line of thought where people are like, well, this is just continuing the trend, like you said, Dave, of the past 20 years of diminishing third-party support from Nintendo, and it sucks that they can't have multi-platform support from the likes of your EAs and your Ubisofts and your Activisions, because not everybody can afford more than one game console. And I hate this argument. I think it's bullshit. Because the person who's only buying one console, who can only buy one gaming machine, tends to also be the kind of person who only buys a few games a year.
That is true.
They're not the obsessive who's sitting there and being like, well, I'm picking this up this month and this month, and they're not the ones who are looking at the whole gaming landscape and constantly sampling everything. Diversity in this market is a good freaking thing. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is at a Best Buy, or if they're looking at Amazon and thinking to themselves, I want something to play video games on that's not my phone, and here is the Xbox, here is the PlayStation, here is the Nintendo. If you're looking at a freaking PlayStation and an Xbox, you're like, all right, well, both of them have Call of Duty, and both of them have Doom, and both of them have Dishonored, and wait, I already have a PC, and maybe I could play those things, even if it doesn't look quite as good as it would on those machines. Why isn't it a good thing to look at a Nintendo machine and say, all right, well, only about 5 games are going to come out over the next 6 months. And if I'm only going to buy 2 games in those 6 months, why isn't it awesome? Why doesn't it make that system more appealing that, so one of those games is Smash Brothers, one of those games is Mario Kart, and maybe something else really weird that you've never heard of called, Splatoon, or Tokyo Mirage Sessions, or so on and so forth. I think that the NX's potential, Dave, like you were saying, is in the fact that Nintendo can pool all of their resources into one machine from here on out and make it really attractive and really unique in the gaming landscape. It's going to have things that no other platform has.
Yep.
It's going to be a completely unique library.
And the other thing, too, is there's another report that came out a day after the NX thing got revealed by Eurogamer. I think it was on the Wall Street Journal that was saying that the NX will also play Nintendo's mobile games. So Which again, like, goes back to their slideshow presentation from, like, was it last year before, where they were basically talking about how their new approach to business and trying to create a sustainable market, and that involves mobile and the NX and, like, all these Nintendo accounts and all this stuff together. And so if you have this device that can also play Nintendo's mobile games, people can see the mobile games on mobile. Nintendo gets money there. Nintendo gets money on NX. Like, it's... I don't know. I feel very excited about the NX. Like, way more... Like, more excited than, like, cautiously optimistic. For sure.
Do you guys think that having... Susan, without turning back into that guy... Mm-hmm. And talking about, like, well, the processing unit inside of this, like, all that bullshit aside.
Yeah.
Do you guys see it as a problem for the NX that we're looking at something that might be not just graphically inferior to the most popular consoles out there right now, but significantly graphically inferior?
Nope. Is it going to be graphically superior to a 3DS or your phone?
That's exactly. That's the most relevant question.
Yes.
Does it look better than what is on your average phone?
Right.
And I'm not talking like your top-of-the-line phone. Like, does it look better than what's on an iPhone 5 or an iPhone 6? Probably.
Yeah.
And I, like, that's what...
It'll certainly have a bigger screen.
It'll have a bigger screen. It'll have better way to interface with the game. If you want to play something like a Super Mario Brothers, you can. At the exact same time that you can play something like a Pokemon Go or, insert touch-only game here. Mm-hmm. It's going to give you the options you want, while it's also going to be able to be cheap enough that you don't have to worry about something like the Vita, which is, very, very appealing, but ultimately very, very, very expensive for what you're getting. Mm-hmm. Everybody on this podcast, we should really always preface with not to bring up the PS Vita.
I know.
But not to bring up the PS Vita again, everybody.
But
it's great, but you're talking about a machine that is usually like a $350 investment.
It's prohibitively expensive, and that's been its downfall from the beginning.
What is it?
Susan, you're forgetting the memory cards.
I am. You're right.
Everyone always forgets the memory cards. And Nintendo's going to be able to work around some of the internal memory issues by having cartridges. Like, for the big marquee games, you're not going to have to worry about, like, having a 20 gig game installed on your NX when you have a cartridge for it, which could really, really hurt them if the audience just wants to download things. But I think, and Nintendo's audience especially has already proven that they're happy to go to a store and buy something because, man, those amiibos fly off freaking shelves.
Yeah, but I hate it when people bring that up, though. It's not the same thing. It isn't. Buying a game, but it's not. Buying a game is not the same as buying a cute little statue. Nobody's scooping up amiibo like crazy to use them in games.
But now follow my logic.
Oh, stop it! Here we go.
No, follow my logic, because I don't think this is crazy. Nintendo has already demonstrated that amiibo this is something that they want to be a pillar of their video game business from here on out. So I'm saying, what if pretty much every single one of these games comes with an amiibo of some kind?
That would be asinine.
I mean, they bundled Twilight Princess with an amiibo. They bundled Mario Party. They've done it before. Star Fox came with Star Fox Go.
To just sell that to you again.
Right. I want to see... personally, I think that part of the NX's potential and a barometer for its success.
And that's the designer going, see what I did there? See? And that's clever, right? Nobody noticed.
And 99% of the people out there, like, you have Johnny Ive going like, yeah, look at that, and then everyone else is like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, I honestly am of the firm belief, like, guys, go with the hard reboot name.
Yep.
Just call it a Nintendo.
That's actually really good.
Call it a Nintendo. Just make it the noun.
Call it the
Just
Nintendo.
do it. Call it the Nintendo. An Nintendo with Mario.
I want
the Mario on the Nintendo system. Yeah, like I sit there and capitalize on the fact that, you know, your original audience are now your most lucrative consumer base. You know, the people who were between the ages of 4 and 20 back when you had the NES out there are now adults. And
I don't know if that's the case of like Nintendo like purposely curating and making sure that that is sort of limited, so they only have a certain amount of games coming out, or if that is just that nobody wants to make Nintendo games. But I know that Nintendo has been notoriously closed off for independent developers, and that started to change with the Wii U, and to some extent the 3DS. And I'm hoping that the NX, like, we see a similar like PS4 sort of shift. Like, you know, we want more people to make games on our system. We want to make it easier for those people to make games. And I think that if they can do that and they can woo the same kind of crowd that like ends up making games for, say, the PS4 and the Vita, that the NX could then kind of be my go-to.
Do it with a different set of paintings. Okay. And if you only played like 2 or 3 at a time, that would be fine.
Pac-Man Championship, no matter what mode you're playing, there's always a point. There is a point to what you're doing. You're pursuing a high score. You're trying to do better with your performance. It's not just this repetitive morass. But in Pac-Man 256, it feels enough like that thing I love that I can't stop doing.
Oh no.
Right. And so, like, that's how I fall into that sort of pattern that you're talking about, Susan, where, like, I hate this. Why am I playing this thing that I loathe, and yet I keep doing it?
It's very deliberately obtuse and very, like, David Lynchian in its, like, in its, the way that it approaches its narrative, that certain